on, boys?
How you guys
Hey.
doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good.
So today we're gonna try the new platform and see how that's gonna work. Before we recorded on Zoom, so now I feel like this is more professional. I like that. Paulo still have the library book behind him.
Of
Looks,
course.
very smart
Look smart.
with the glasses on. All right. So today we are going to speak about keyword search. This is like the new function we have in the David and Goliath app, and what made us create that feature? Why is it important for us? So everything we created is basically things we are using internally to keep track of our portfolio and what we are doing. So we created this feature specifically to track certain things inside Filings. And I think we should kind of like elaborate on that and talk about that and explain why is it important to be able to target certain words in certain filings. There is so much we can do with that. So who wants to start?
Yeah, so, keywords are very important to us, pretty much because it's something that's not, let's say, common in the filings, right? So we want to be able to search whatever we want to see in the filings. And the keywords can be whatever you really want it to be. Like it can be the name of an individual, a certain keyword. For example, right now that we're going into the tariff like implementation part, you want to look in the filings where companies mention the word tariff, maybe, or China. So you kind of want to see if the company has exposure to China in some way. But it can be whatever you want it to be. So we found that for us, at least, it's good to know what other people are doing, what our peers in the industry are doing. So it's as easy as inputting their name on the keyword alert, and we get an email as soon as they're mentioned in any kind of filing, right? So, or if there's an individual, a service provider, a transfer agent that we want to know when they're involved, we get an alert, and that's pretty much why we created the tool.
That's very, very good. So that's kind of like helping you to be in front of a certain wave or trend. So when AI was very, very hot, people could put like certain keywords that related to AI, that every new company that, starting to do something that related to AI, they will get a notification. Or when crypto was very, very strong and hyped, you could track which companies are starting to do more things in the crypto space. You can track competitors, friends, people that you or sophisticated investors that you can kind of like go on and see when they are getting involved with certain companies, with certain transactions, what type of transactions they're doing. That's very, very good. Alon, what are your thoughts? What else can you do with this tool?
Man, there's so much that can come out of something as simple as a keyword search. Paulo mentioned a great point of, let's say, current events, right? Tariffs. Yeah, for my 15 plus years, capital markets and working with companies or whatnot, at the end of let me step backwards even more. We created this whole software, this whole platform to be a one-stop shop, to be able to guide you through the process of being an investor, of minimizing your risk, of knowing when to come in, when to come out. Disclosure, right? So at the end of the day, if you're not first, you're last. If you're not on top of the information that's out there, it's a big no-no. And that's the whole reason for all of this at the end of the day is being first, not last, and getting disclosure. I've learned in the past 15 years that companies, issuers, don't want to disclose everything. They make it very difficult to disclose everything, right? So they're not going to come out there and put out a press release of the bad things, right? They're not going to come out there and tell you how much they diluted or how many other debt holders might be in on their balance sheet today, or issues with tariffs, right? So like just as simple as that, right? How are they being affected with tariffs, right? I mean, big companies too. Look, they come out if they actually tell you. I mean, look what happened in Nvidia today. Look what happened to AMD today. I mean, look at some of these big companies because they're telling you what's going on, right? But think about all the companies that are not doing that and being able to put that into a keyword search where you're pointed right to where it's being disclosed, right? So it's like judging a book by its cover, right? Or opening, I always say, what kind of skeleton is behind the curtains, right? So being able to open the curtain is what this tool allows you, alongside all the other tools. They all leverage each other, right? They all kind of are, they're all you add and become smarter and smarter by using every single tool that we have that we put together. That's why we use it, right? So that's on the general front, I think that's the most important part of that. And then I mean, we use it for so many different things. I mean, you mentioned competitors, right? We want to know what our portfolio companies are doing, right? We want to know what our competitors are doing, right? We want to know what the attorneys, right? The service providers, Paulo mentioned transfer agents. Think about attorneys and accounting firms. We're able to keep track of who's filing on time, and what service provider are they using to file on time, right? We're able to see what type of transactions our competitors are doing. We're able to see, because we are smart enough to review it and be on top of it, to see if they get better terms than what we had in our transaction with them. So just that, and just for that, that changed my life, right? Because we know here. So, but the public, wherever's going to listen to this at some point or another, we provide debt, and the debt has certain clauses that protect, that give us certain anti-dilutive characteristics to our transactions. So if I came and gave a company $1 million at $1, but my language in my documents say if they issue any other stock less than that $1, I now get that new price, right? The company's not coming and telling you, hey, we did an offering at 50 cents now, so here you go, Elon. Here's another, 10 million shares because I want, I'm going to listen and, abide by the rules of the book. No, you're going to have to call them up and say, hey, I saw in your filings that so-and-so received this money and I saw exactly what the terms of his agreement was. And that's where my protection comes into play. That's where I become smart. But yeah, it just tells you so much going on. I mean, IPOs, right? Everything is being filed with the SEC. All the S1s, the F1s, D-SPACs, whatever you want to call it, mergers, S4s. If you're following and tracking a certain attorney that you know is behind the paperwork for those type of transactions, you have a list of everything that's getting filed. That's coming to you on, every time it gets filed. Every time the attorney's mentioned in there. Investment bank. You want to follow every deal that an investment bank is coming. That's coming to you. So just think about the data that you're receiving on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, depending on what type you're putting in there, what you want to follow. It's huge. I mean, you go out there and you see a lot of trade groups and WhatsApp groups and this and Twitter. Hey, Nvidia is a holder in this company, or hey, Warren Buffett just sold this company, and Nancy Pelosi sold off her shares in this company or whatnot. With this, you get it as soon as they file with the SEC, as soon as it's public information. You interpret the data yourself.
You can make your own decisions based on what you read and not what somebody else made out of the filings.
And it's coming to you immediately as soon as it gets filed. It's coming to you. It's a great tool to have. It's wonderful. And like I mentioned, we use it for multiple different purposes. We use it to see what other people in our space are doing. To see what other companies that we want to get involved with are doing. To see what type of transactions our service providers that we use are involved with. I might have not known an IPO was happening, but if I get an S1, if I get a filing alert, keyword search alert, all of a sudden I can call the bank and say, hey, I want a piece of this. I want to be involved. Or Paulo might call me and say, hey, listen, these guys issue shares at X price. Our shares are at that price. We should be able to get this new price. Here's the filing. And it's all because we followed our competitor, let's say. So there's huge value.
And also,
Amazing.
it doesn't have to be exclusively a negative thing, like searching for negative things. You can also look for positives. For example, I'm going to put a real life example. There's an investor there that I really like. Probably you should all know Bill Ackman, who he is. It's a hedge
Never
fund
heard of him.
investor,
Who's this guy?
activist investor. If you don't know him, you're missing out. That's the thing. And so he went ahead and he wanted to buy a majority position in a company. And the company put out an 8K. It was like a merger buyout type of transaction where he's mentioned, Bill Ackman. And so if I like Bill Ackman and I want to keep track of what he's doing, I can just put Bill Ackman and I'm gonna get notified the moment that he put out the 8K about the transaction with that certain company. I'm gonna know. So if I know that a company is gonna get bought out by Bill Ackman and I believe in what he does and the philosophy behind his investments, I might just buy some shares of the company to see what happens, to see where it goes after he gets involved. And of course, companies as well, they also do investments. So maybe Nvidia is going to invest in a smaller company and it's going to get disclosed. And I want to know where Nvidia is investing. So that's a positive. You don't always look for the negatives. Of course, you need to be prepared. But if there's a company that you like, that you want to see what they're doing in terms of investments, an individual, a fund, a country, you can just put it there and you can just, get the alert. I think, for me, that was a key part, trying to follow the people that I like the investment, that I like the philosophy. I want to be able to know what they're doing at all times and the moment it happens, So I mean, if I want to get involved, I can. And, I think that's of great use, especially for smaller investors that, might want to be able to track what the bigger guys are doing, what the other people are doing. I think that's of great value, great value for smaller investors. Big investors, they have, access to a lot of information, but to be able to get that information quickly for a retail investor, that's very important. And so I don't think there's a tool that can help, like Alon said, a one-stop shop where you can get everything, right? So here you can get a combination of things that at the end of the day, one thing, the liquidity, the filings, the dilution, and then the keyword, you put that all together and you become a smarter investor at the end of the day.
100%. All those tools have been helping us for the past few years to make smarter decisions. So that's great. Rilon, anything else on your end?
That's pretty much the spiel as it relates to keyword searches and putting in. I think it could be used as a micro and a macro type of situation. When I say micro, it's for what's good for you as the investor. Just as you guys mentioned, if you want to follow one of your favorite investors or your favorite funds or uh, that's something that you want to know and want to be on top of and want to understand, or a type of industry, let's say. And then on the macro level stuff, right? Like Paulo mentioned earlier, the tariffs, right? You put in how are they affected by tariffs, right? So every company that's going to go ahead and if if they're getting affected, they should be, that's a part of guidance, right? You would think. So the auditing firm would be requiring them to put some sort of disclosure regarding that. And like I mentioned before, it's tough to count on others. You need to do your own homework, not wait until they come out and tell you what's wrong, because usually that's, too late. And especially for the little guy, right? We need to be on top of it. So I think you could use this tool really, really to your benefit.
Love it. Awesome. I think that summarized the majority of it. I think this was a good episode, kind of like explaining that specific feature. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Cheers.
All right, see you guys.